Alright, so hello everybody and welcome to my guide to Kuva Liches. Now first things first, this is an endgame system, so it's something you're going to be doing at the end of the game, and the rewards are quite appropriate. The weapons you can get from this are quite good, most of them anyways, and the cosmetics, which are the ephemeras, are really cool as well. So it's not something that you can do as a fresh Warframe account. You will have to go through a lot of the story quests, unlock the Kuva Fortress, deal with the queens and that kind of stuff before you can finally spawn a Lich. Now for the purpose of this guide, I will assume that you did all the quests and you can actually spawn a Lich, because the alternative here would be to walk you through pretty much the entirety of Warframe, which would not only spoil everything, but it would also be incredibly messy. So, spawning a Lich is extremely straightforward. You have to go and do a Grenier mission that's above level 20, and about halfway through the mission you will get a bit of RP with the Kuva Guardians, which basically tells you that a Kuva larvaling has spawned. Once this happens, you have to find the larvaling, fight it until it goes to a downed state, at which point the larvaling will display the weapon the Lich would have if you were to stab it, and then simply finish it off by stabbing it with the Parazon by pressing whatever button you have assigned to it, if of course you like the weapon the larvaling has displayed over its head. If however you are not interested in getting the weapon that the larvaling has displayed over its head, you can simply extract from the mission and try again to get a different weapon. Now, one very important thing here is that if you do decide to stab the larvaling and spawn the Lich with the weapon the larvaling had displayed over its head, the bonus element type on the weapon is based on the Warframe you stabbed the larvaling with Baruch, Gauss, Grendel, Rhino, Wukong and Zephyr giving the weapon bonus impact damage, Chroma, Ember, Inaros, Neja, Vauban and Wisp giving the weapon bonus heat damage, Frost, Gara, Hildrin, Revenant, Titania and Trinity giving the weapon cold damage, Banshee, Excalibur, Limbo, Nova, Valkyrie and Vault giving the weapon bonus electricity damage, Atlas, Ivara, Korra, Necros, Nidus, Oberon and Sarin giving the weapon bonus toxin damage, Harrow, Hydroid, Mag and Mesa giving it bonus magnetic damage, and finally Ash, Equinox, Garuda, Loki, Mirage, Nyx and Octavia giving the weapon bonus radiation damage. And these choices also affect the ephemeras, right? The Lich can only get an impact ephemera if you spawn it with a Warframe that gives the weapons the Lich has bonus impact damage. And finally, this is also kind of relevant, especially if you're struggling with certain types of Liches, it will also affect their ability set, with the toxin based Liches being particularly nasty. So let's just say you found a larvaling with the weapon you want and you stabbed it with the Warframe that goes with the element type that you want on that weapon. You now have a Lich. And you have to deal with it, because there is nothing else you can do. If you just leave it alone, it will keep stealing things from you forever. What will happen now is once you extract from the mission where you stab the larvaling, the Lich will taunt you immediately and you'll be able to inspect it in your navigation, where you'll be able to see the weapon, how much bonus damage you got on the weapon, as well as the Lich's weaknesses and strengths. Don't pay too much attention to these, by the way, because they're not that big of a deal. You're not gonna run into the Lich too terribly often, and even if you do, it's just a single enemy in a sea of bunch of other enemies, so it's generally better to mod for the enemies you're gonna fight in the missions, which are high level Grenier that use for the most part alloy armor. So radiation, corrosive, viral, heat, that kind of stuff. Another thing you will notice in the Lich screen, however, is 3 undiscovered requiems. Discovering these 3 requiems is what you're gonna spend most of your time on, and they are what will eventually allow you to defeat the Lich, because they tell you the combination of requiem mods you need to use on the Lich to defeat it. Now, if this is your first Lich, there's gonna be a bit of a grind wall here, because you ideally want to get one of each Requiem mod. And you get these by cracking open the 4th tier of relic, the Requiem relic, in special fissure missions on the Kuva Fortress. These are always active, by the way. They jump from node to node and some nodes are better than others, but you'll always be able to go there and crack open your Requiem relics. Now, there are a few ways in which you can get these relics. The first way is by doing Kuva siphons, where you will get one most of the time at the end of the mission. The second way is by doing Kuva floods, where you are guaranteed one at the end of the mission. And the third way is by killing the Lich's thralls, which will drop one every now and then. Now, if you feel like doing Kuva siphons or floods, that's fine, but I would highly recommend you go straight for the thralls, which I will explain in a little bit. Because killing these is also how you progress towards killing your Lich. So you might as well start working on the Lich while you're farming these relics. And that's pretty much all you need to know before you start hunting your Lich, so head back to your navigation where you will notice that one of the planets is covered in strawberry jam. That planet is under the influence of your Lich and it's where you need to go. It's also where your Lich will steal a portion of your rewards at the end of the mission. Now, if you zoom in on the planet, you will notice that only certain missions have been jammed up. And if you click on these missions, you will be given an option to either play the regular version of that mission or the Lich version. So you of course want to choose the Lich version. Now these are harder than normal missions. They start off at levels 50 to 60 and only go up from there. So get ready for a fight. Now the Lich missions aren't that different from the regular versions. They are of course higher level, but the most important change is that they will spawn the Lich's thralls. These are slightly different versions of regular enemies that won't just die when you shoot them. They will instead go into a down state, kind of like the larvaling, and you have to use the interact button to finish them off with a parazon. Now killing these is why you're doing these missions, and you're going to be doing a lot of them, because they have a chance to drop a requiem relic. Every time you kill one of them, you get a little bit of progress towards your requiem murmur, which is what shows you which mods you need to use against the Lich to defeat it. And killing them also angers your Lich, which will make it more likely to show up in a mission, which is very important. These thralls are very easy to find, by the way, because if they don't just straight up faceplant into you and try to kill you, they will be marked with an icon on your heads-up display. Now, if at this point you have some Requiem mods already, just put them on your parazon. It doesn't matter what order or what the mods are. Just put them on just in case the Lich shows up. Because you don't necessarily have to go through the entire process that's coming up next, you can just guess the Requiem mods when you stab the Lich. And what is this process, you ask? Well, going through a ton of Lich missions and stabbing a ton of thralls to progress your Requiem murmurs to figure out which 3 of the Requiem mods you need to use against the Lich to defeat it, with the first 2 murmurs requiring significantly fewer thralls to unlock than the third one. Now as you're doing this, you will naturally just anger the Lich to a point where it will show up in one of your missions. This is a good thing because defeating the Lich and stabbing it, even with the wrong Requiem mod, will give you significantly more murmur progress than stabbing any of the thralls. It will also level the Lich up, which can go all the way up to level 5, at which point the Lich missions as well as the Lich will be above level 100. In addition to that, it will make the Lich spread to another planet or even multiple planets. I haven't been able to find any pattern in this, it seems completely random. And finally, and most importantly, it will test the first Requiem mod you have equipped on your parazon and tell you whether it's the right one or the wrong one. This is why getting Requiem mods as soon as possible is a good idea, because while yes, you can just stab the Lich with an empty parazon and it's all nice and dandy, it will spread to another planet and it will level up, but you might as well put on some random Requiem mods and try them against the Lich to see if maybe you guessed correctly, because if you do guess the first mod correctly, you can continue to fight the Lich and test the second Requiem mod, which will give you even more murmur progress, but it will also instantly finish the progress on your first Requiem mod if you guessed it correctly, regardless of how much progress you had on it, and allow you to start progressing on the second Requiem mod right away. And this is pretty much what you're gonna be doing until you figure out all 3 of the Requiem mods. Now, one important thing about the Requiem mods and the Lich screen is that while it does show you which Requiem mods you have to use, it doesn't show you which position on the parazon you need to put them in, because this matters. And it's something you're gonna have to figure out via trial and error, and it also means that if you test one of the Requiems in the first slot and it's not the correct one, you still need to try it in the second and third slot, because it might be the correct one there. This also means that if you do guess the right Requiem mod, don't move it, just keep it in that slot and focus on the other ones. I should also say that if you knock the Lich down and you can stab it, if you don't stab it, it will regenerate and eventually start fighting you again, but if you do this too many times, the Lich will leave, so make sure you stab it. So at this point, you just keep doing Lich missions, you keep killing thralls, and whenever the Lich shows up, you test some Requiem mods on your parazon, and once you finally figure out which 3 Requiem mods you have to use and in which order you have to put them into your parazon, you can finally take the Lich down. And you do this by continuing to do Lich missions until the Lich shows up, at which point you will fight it, it will be knocked down, you stab it, you continue fighting it until it's knocked down, you stab it for the second time, and then you continue fighting it for the last time until you knock it down, and you stab it for the third time. Once you get to this point, you manage to stab the Lich 3 times with the correct Requiem mods in the correct order, you'll be presented with a choice. You can either vanquish the Lich, which will kill it and give you the weapon as well as the ephemera if the Lich does have an ephemera, or convert it, which will turn it into your ally that will occasionally show up in a mission to help you out, but can also be traded to other people. This is actually how you can make some platinum if the Lich has either a good weapon or an ephemera. Once you finish your Lich, regardless of whether you vanquished it or you converted it, and you extract from that mission, you'll be given back all the things the Lich stole from you. And if you vanquished the Lich, you don't actually get the weapon right away, you instead have to go to your foundry and pick it up there for some reason. And that is it. Congratulations, you've killed the Lich. Now, before I end the video, there's a few more tips I want to share with you. So first of all, try to not melee the Lich because all of them have a nasty grab attack that will most likely one-shot you if they do indeed manage to grab you. Second of all, while you can only ever get up to 10 thralls per mission, the Lich can then throw up to additional 10 enemies in that mission. So if the Lich does show up, it is a good idea to let him or her run around for a bit and then throw additional enemies. And finally, third of all, testing your requiems on the Lich does not drain the durability on the requiem mods, okay? Each mod only has 3 durability, so you use it 3 times and it's gone. The only thing that will drain that durability is the final hit on the Lich when you finally kill it. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed it and it was helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.